starting right now on ABC's This Week. Breaking overnight, Israeli commandos storm Gaza. Gunfire exchanged in the midnight raid as the death toll in Gaza continues to rise. Is this the start of a full-scale ground war? Martha Raddatz leads our team coverage from an explosive Middle East. Homeland threat.
It's more frightening than anything I think I've seen as Attorney General.
Pierre Thomas goes one-on-one with the Attorney General. Plus, a special report from beyond the border.
¿Tienen miedo? Are you afraid?
We're in Central America, following the children heading north. And homecoming. LBJ! What a week for Cleveland and King James. From ABC News, This Week with George Stephanopoulos begins now.
Good morning. Let's get right to that breaking news. After days of rocket fire and airstrikes, Israeli commandos engage in their first combat in Gaza. The big question now, is this leading to an all-out ground war, or can a ceasefire take hold before more rockets are fired, more civilians are killed? Martha Raddatz starts us off from the border of Israel and Gaza. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. I am standing near what is essentially the front line in this conflict. I am in Israel, and just behind me a few miles is Gaza. There has been a constant exchange of fire, Hamas rockets, and Israeli airstrikes. But for the very first time last night, Israel sent in a small number of ground troops, the first time they have done so since 2009. It was in the dead of night when several dozen Navy commandos, Israel's equivalent of the Navy SEALs, approached the Gaza shore from the Mediterranean Sea in small boats, surveillance planes and attack helicopters providing cover. The commandos destroyed a number of Hamas long-range rockets and launchers that have been targeting Israel's major cities. But Hamas militants spotted the team and opened fire.
There was a huge engagement and we took out the capabilities and the terrorists.
The Israelis have been pounding Hamas from the air for days. We watched on this stunning hillside with several dozen residents of the Israeli town of Sderot, which has been hit frequently by rocket fire from Gaza over the years. Now the residents gather every day to watch the Israeli Air Force strike back. You saw missiles right there?
Yeah.
Oh, you shot it. And you don't have to wait here very long. How often does this happen?
Actually, this is...
We can see one outgoing from Gaza right now.
That's the direction of Tel Aviv.
Last night, 3 rockets made it near or above Tel Aviv, where they were intercepted by the Iron Dome, Israel's multi-billion-dollar defense system, which we saw firsthand. It has saved countless lives. Not a single Israeli has been killed during this operation. In Gaza, it is another story. This is what the airstrikes look like from the ground. The Israelis warn residents that their building has been targeted with what they call a knock on the roof to get them to evacuate. Just minutes later, watch as a powerful missile completely destroys this house. The Israelis may be warning the residents, but according to the United Nations, 75% of those killed in Gaza are civilians.
5 years or 6 years child. I know that it's innocent people.
But there are still fears of a wider war. 30,000 Israeli reservists have been called up, and Israeli tanks are already amassed on the Gaza border in case the order comes for a full-scale ground attack. What kind of tipping point would there be?
If Iron Dome is unsuccessful in a way that it causes huge devastation.
But the people of Gaza are expecting the worst. Today, a mass evacuation of American citizens there, where my colleague Alex Marquardt reports.
Martha, those evacuations took place early this morning. 144 American citizens among a bigger group of foreign passport holders that Israel has allowed to leave. But it's those Palestinians who can't escape who would bear the brunt of an Israeli ground invasion. Exodus from Gaza, the lucky few boarding buses to flee. There we meet the Akasha family from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, here to visit family, now escaping a war. You're disappointed to be leaving?
No, I'm happy. I miss America.
You want to get home, you want to get out of the war zone.
Yeah.
They grab their heavy bags for the long walk to the border. Once out of Gaza, the relief to be going home is bittersweet.
A little bit sad behind me, yeah, because my family over there, you know.
Her family and so many others stuck as Israeli missiles rain down on targets and people that Palestinians here say have nothing to do with Hamas rocket fire. This crowd pulling out what is clearly a very wounded man out of a mosque that was struck just moments ago. The anger and body count soaring. Almost 170 now dead, over 1,100 wounded, with no end in sight. Today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel is stepping up its operations against Hamas. He said they regret any attacks on civilians, but accused Hamas of being solely responsible for using them as human shields. Martha?
But you can expect more of those small commando raids by the Israelis and certainly more airstrikes. They say they will not stop the airstrikes until Hamas stops firing rockets. And so far, the Israelis have only gotten 20% of those rockets. George?
Okay, thank you, Mark.